And so this new book, Who Would You Be Without Your Story? Now, I've heard you say this so many times, and it is such a penetrating question. What finally drove you to get this book, and what is it, the dialogues? Is it a compilation of seminars you've done?
Well, it's a compilation of people that where we have done the work on topics that belong to all of us. You know, in our despair, our hopelessness, and on a scale from 1 to 10, emotionally, from 1 to 10, you know, we're all over that scale until we're not. And so it's they're dialogues for all of us. And through that person that the person I'm working with, that's always where the truth is. And so I'm always in the presence of truth when I am sitting with someone. So the truths that come out of these people are miraculous. And so they're transcripts of what happened within that human being in each case. And it's truly for all of us just to sit in it, to read it, and to have our own minds walk through those minds as they're finding just miracles and revelations and witnessing that. It changes all of us as we read it. And, you know, it's the pure, unadulterated, raw, what is true. And it's just, I'm humbled by it. Every time I sit with someone, you know, Steve, I am, it's like, how could I be so fortunate as to oh my goodness. I could go on and on and on, but the bottom line is no one holds more wisdom than another human being. It's just been difficult for us to know how to go directly to that wisdom that changes the way we see things forever. And when we see things differently, as you know, it affects everyone around us. And in the presence of truth, people cannot hold what they think they believe that they don't. And it becomes so easy to be with an enlightened person. In other words, one that is working with their suffering and overcoming it. In other words, seeing through it.
Katie, I've always believed that the greatest messages come out of the greatest messes sometimes, and that you really do sometimes have to lose to win. For those listeners that aren't familiar with you, could you just give a brief explanation of how you got to this truth? These four questions.
I was so full of self-hatred that I didn't believe I deserved to even sleep in a bed. So this more than a decade, this downward spiral that I was experiencing, there was absolutely no way out. I was convinced of it. And so I was very suicidal, agoraphobic, paranoid. It was horrible, and trying to raise 3 children at the same time. And it was... Agoraphobia is the short version. It's the fear of the marketplace, and for me, it was just stepping out my front door, and sometimes just stepping out of my bedroom. Terrifying. And what was happening, I saw later. I was simply believing my stressful thoughts, and I had no way not to believe them. So I was just being carried into hell. So this particular morning, as I lay sleeping on the floor, actually a cockroach crawled over my foot, and I opened my eyes, and in place of all that darkness was heaven with no name. Heaven with no name. Heaven is something that I saw later, and people call it earth, you know, and I'm still living in heaven, and people are calling it earth, and for me, it's synonymous. But I saw in that moment that nothing had a name until I named it, and that didn't make it so, that my words actually had no meaning, that everything I had been believing, and so I began to laugh, and that was the first sound that came out of this new life, and it was just laughter, and it just rolled and rolled and rolled, and then my mind, we could say the thinking mind, hit my head, and in that moment, you know, things had names and meanings, and I saw all the thoughts that were taking me to hell were only something to laugh at. And so that's what I was doing, laughing, you know, and And so I saw in that moment that we do create our reality the moment we believe our stressful thoughts. The moment we believe our stressful thoughts. So I saw how the world began.
So by asking yourself these 4 questions and then turning it around, you were able to find, not only for yourself, but then realizing that for so many others, you were able to help alleviate depression, decrease stress,
Yes.
improve relationships, reduce anger, increase mental clarity, more energy, more peace, and
Yes.
all of that is, I'm telling you, if someone would have told me 2 years ago that there were 4 questions you could ask yourself and it would bring all of that to you, I would have said, no way, it's impossible. But it's absolutely true. It's incredible, Katie.
It truly is. You just wouldn't think it would be so simple, but we need that now. This world needs that now. You know, there's a lot of suffering in the world, and there's some kind of climax happening, and I just love that we would all meet it with something just so incredibly beautiful and shift it the other way, and we all have that ability.